So yeah, we've got to be detached from a lot of things, not just from the result. We're also detached from the way we want people to think of us,
Mm.
There's quite a few parts in the Bhagavad Gita where it talks about becoming detached from fame and infamy. So there's the duality there, that you want people to recognize you as being a great saintly advanced devotee, and the duality is you don't want people to recognize you as some kind of a monster, So, and sometimes it may just be that for one reason or another, you have to go through a period where you're being thought of as a monster, and you're not prepared to give up. You'll still continue. So that's also determination is a combination of certain things, but definitely one of the things that slows down determination is being overly attached, because it means there's a condition there. You're prepared to do your bit as long as this takes place. And if this doesn't take place, then we become very disorientated. We think, well, I'm doing my side of the bargain. Why are you not turning up with your side of the bargain, Kṛṣṇa? And Kṛṣṇa's like, well, I want you to be detached, and I can see you're really attached to this. So if you say you're doing it just for me, let me see if you are, or are you actually just doing it for yourself?
And that could be a hard lesson to learn, especially for the false ego.
Well, it can be very disorientating because you're going out there and you're working really hard, and the results are coming in, and you're like, wow, and at the same time you're thinking, I'm not really attached to the result, I'm just doing this for Kṛṣṇa. And then suddenly Kṛṣṇa just turns the tap off, and then if we really, the energy goes down, the enthusiasm, even the faith, we lose faith in everything. Our faith was all based upon some kind of fruitive karma kanda. And now everything's gone, and we're like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if Kṛṣṇa is God anymore. And I mean, Srila Prabhupada's like a nice old Indian man, but maybe he got it wrong, Maybe I should be Jehovah's Witness. So serious existential questions start rising up, and it's all just a big smoke screen. What it is you're not getting what you want, and you're just trying to find reasons to justify not wanting to do it anymore. And it always reminds me of that one where Kṛṣṇa gets cursed by Parashuram, and he says, well, when you need your mantra most, you'll not be able to remember it. And Kṛṣṇa just shrugged his shoulders and thought, oh, well. And he just carried on, he was like, he was detached. He thought, well, whatever happens, happens. So we have to be like that it's not gone the way I'd planned it to. And that's fine, as long as I can just do it anyway. And that's a privilege in itself. We don't even realize that. There are some devotees that end up in a situation where the services are taken off them for one reason or another. They're not allowed to represent the temple. And so you don't realize actually how good it is and just how much you've got until Kṛṣṇa takes it away. So it's better to just be appreciative of what you got right now than have to have Kṛṣṇa take it away to make you realize what it was that you had in the first place. You've got to be proactively grateful, so that Kṛṣṇa doesn't have to take it off you to make you realize how valuable it was what you had. Right now you have an opportunity to at least try to do Sankirtan, but you may not have that in the future. So if you can be grateful for it, then Kṛṣṇa will always keep providing you an opportunity.
Attitude of gratitude.
Yeah, we just take things for granted. Kṛṣṇa consciousness is taking a step back and appreciating that Kṛṣṇa's being kind. And the path away from Kṛṣṇa is just taking everything for granted. People are taking the air they breathe for granted, the ability to be cognizant for granted. There's so many things that are going on around them, the relationships, the food and water, the heat. It's all coming by the mercy of Kṛṣṇa, and they take it for granted. And then Kṛṣṇa says, okay, in Hungary, the price of heating has gone up 7 times as much. So then you do start appreciating it.
So even us in the temple, like, we have a feast every single morning for breakfast, and you're like, oh yeah, Prashadam Ki Jai. But really, you should be insanely grateful for this delicious meal that's been provided without even having to cook.
Yeah.
It's so easy to fall into a ungrateful mood, you know.
I'm entitled to this. You know, I deserve this. I work hard. I should get this every day. Where's the curd?
Yeah.
Who was it who said there was Steve Jobs? He said, when we were young, we were hungry. So let's always stay hungry. Meaning we don't become so satiated and complacent that we lose the ability to appreciate. If you stay hungry, you're always hungry for the mercy, then you're as safe, you know.
And isn't that why? That's why Bhaktisiddhanta would keep building temples, so that his Sankirtan party would have to go out and raise more money to build more temples.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you've collected enough, then it's where's my curd? You know, like that kind of attitude can easily come back.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So who knows what Tarkanath Prabhu's got up his sleeve after this one's finished?
Yeah. The farm.
Yeah. Oh, really? Yeah, he's talking about a farm as well.
Yeah, I think I think the plan for Wales is to kind of model what they've done in Hungary. So you start off with an inner city preaching centre, like they've got in Budapest.
Yeah.
That's Kṛṣṇa, and then have Radhi Shyam on a farm somewhere in the valleys, you know.
Radhi Shyam on a farm.
Yeah.
What could be the harm? You will become really calm on the farm of Radhi Shyam. Yeah.
So detachment. Yeah. You wanted to talk.
It's not easy though in Hungary, you know, although they have the ideal situation. They struggle to keep the devotees on the farm because it's austere.
Yeah. It's not as, I guess, idyllic as it sounds or seems when you go there for a week.
And even then, it can be a bit tough. Jackie stayed in one of the houses and it was nice, but you have to load up the wood burning stove with wood. She said that they've really improved the solar system now, so that there's sufficient light, good lighting, you know, just from the solar panels. So I guess we would circumvent a lot of the difficulty they went through and just follow what they're doing now, you know, because they found a way of doing it in a more comfortable way, easier way. But still, doing your washing is a challenge. You know, we just throw it in the machine, press the button, and then throw it in the tumble dryer, and that's it. But it's a major achievement getting your laundry done and drying it, you know, out there. But yeah, we're city slickers. We're used to it. We're used to just walking into a room, pressing a button on the side, and the whole thing lights up, you know.
Yeah, it reminds me of Nectar Instruction. Prabhupada talks about that, how like if you introduce this idea of simple living to someone who lives in the city, they'll think that you're going back in time.
Primitive.
Yeah, it's primitive. That's the word he says. Yeah, so it's like, yeah, it does seem a bit rough.
I think it's an acquired taste because I can imagine sitting down to eat a chapati that you've grown the wheat for and ground is going to be very satisfying, very healthy. Going to be a lot of really nice. Yeah, so I think it would take a little while maybe to wean yourself off what you've been used to. Some people are just yearning for that, you know. They really want it. Some people think they want it, and then when they actually get it, they realize, oh, I'm a bit more attached to comfort than I realized, you know.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of us experience that when we join an ashram. You know, yeah, let's go for it. Let's renounce everything. And after a year or two, it's like, you know, maybe let's calm down on this renunciation thing. I don't know. Like, I need a nice phone, or I need this, and I need my own Bhagavatam set or something like that. I need my own something, you know, little luxuries in life.
Yeah. My own space.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've lived in a motorhome for must have been nearly 20 years. And I had my little corner of the motorhome with my suitcase, with all my stuff in the suitcase. And I would, you know, even then we were territorial. This was my corner. Your corner's a bit smelly, but my corner's great, you know.
Yeah. The Pope was proud of his penny in it.
Yeah. It was good training. I think it's the ideal optimum maximization of time is that you jump out the motorhome in the town you're doing that day, you know.
Oh, it was a driving motorhome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's what we did for years. Shiv Ramaj had lived in a motorhome, And Bhakta-rupa Prabhu was right into motorhomes. He would always travel in the motorhome, more convenient for him. So we naturally just had, we went through about 4 different motorhomes over the years, you know.
Interesting.
Yeah, it maximized. And if what we would do in the morning, between 7 and 8, we would have Mangalati in class. And during that time, one of us would cook. And the person cooking would also be singing and listening to the class.
Yeah.
And then after Prashada, by the time we cleaned up and everything, put everything away, by about like 10 to 9, we were ready to just jump out and hit the street. So we always got a full day in, you know.
Tight system, like.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good. It was a bit intense. But it was intense on Saturday night because the driver would go off to do the pubs, and sometimes we'd end up doing the clubs, and we'd be standing around at midnight waiting for the motorhome to turn up. We had nowhere else we could go, you know.
That's rough.
And that was, and it was intense because for Ekadashi we were expected to follow near Jal. So you had to dash into the motorhome. Sometimes the motorhome would come, it'd be like 10 to 12, and you'd have to try and eat as much rice as you could before it was midnight, you know. As soon as it was midnight, it was like, okay, stop. Oh, that was crazy.
You know, today, by some people today would call that like fanatic. Would you have said it's fanatic, or would you have said it's a benefit to you, or both?
Well, in the long term, those devotees that went through it didn't want to continue on doing it later on. So I think it would be better to look at what's sustainable. You know, at the time it was okay-ish, but you know, how long can you keep doing that for? You know, sooner or later you have to settle down to something which you can cope with. You know, and we're a preaching movement. We're supposed to be showing people that we're the emblem of a blissful spiritual way of life where we have no difficulties and we're fully relishing our lives. You know, so it has to be. We have to be in a situation which is attractive.
Interesting. How would you like engineer that, or how would you discover what your sort of comfortable position is in terms of what you do, where you are still pushing yourself, but you're not pushing yourself too far, you know?
Yeah, I think your barometer is your japa. How is your japa? Are you finding this? All the difficulties are becoming insurmountable, and it's interfering with your ability to absorb in the holy name. And if you are, then you'll need to let go of some of these practices to facilitate a better absorption in the holy name. You know, if your sadhana starts to go down, and your reading and your japa starts to go down, then it's only a question of time before the service will go as well.
So, like, I guess you have to kind of detach yourself from this image of who you think you should be, your devotional false ego.
It reminds me of, you know, when you go swimming and you see if you can go in the water the whole length. So you jump in and you're going along. And when you jump in, you're not sure whether you can go the whole length. Usually I can manage it. I can stay in the water with my breath. I used to be able to anyway. So I always try and push. But when you jump in the deep end, you have to be ready for the fact that you may not make it the full way, and therefore you'll need to come up. You'll need facilities. So you try, you jump in there and you try the best you can, and at the same time you're ready to come up for air. You're not going to drown yourself. You think, okay, that's as far as I can go. Okay, well that's fine. That's the best you can do. That's the best you can do. You know.
But oftentimes that will take a bit of humility, you know, because
and also and it will take. You'll have to undergo austerity, and then you'll see, because it may be that you're able to sustain austerity a lot more than you thought you could. You know, we were all surprised how far we could go and how much we could do. Actually, it was way beyond, but we've never have known that unless we were out there on the limb. We put ourselves in a situation where we just had to do it. You know, so I don't regret. I remember there was one offering by a Prabhupada disciple, and he said, "Dear Srila Prabhupada, the only times I regret in devotional service are the times that I didn't surrender." So you'll never regret surrendering. You only regret not surrendering.
And that's what I know. I know that Shiva Maharaj has instructed the authorities here. Like, if you don't push the boys, then you're actually doing them a disservice, because by being pushed, you can find your limits. Like, you can really discover what you can do.
And you're lucky you've got someone there that can do that, because it takes a lot of energy. Sometimes you get flack. It's easy just to be the nice guy and pat everybody on the head. So I chose to be under a leader that I knew was going to push me, because I'd been heavily chastised by him. And I realized it was what I needed, you know. I needed a good shake-up. And I was happy to voluntarily go back and subject myself to that situation again, you know. And other devotees, they're purposely trying to avoid that. They want to be in a situation where they only see their guru once a year. No one can tell them anything, and they just take it or leave it as they please. So you can do that as well, but obviously you don't make as much advancement, and you don't really tap into what your real potential is, because you never push beyond your mental limitations to find out.
Yeah, it's important to surround yourself with kind of high achievers, right? Like, in any kind of field, whether it's material. If you want to join the SAS, like, it's gonna pull your standard up. And again, in Nectar Instruction, I just read, you know, there's that section where the verse where it talks about all the different levels or something, and I think it's Bhakti-siddhanta says that anartha nivritti, by being attached to the International Society of Krishna Consciousness, then anartha nivritti. I could find the quote actually. It's like a really good quote. I saved it on my phone.
Which instruction is it? Is that instruction 5?
I believe so. This is the quote. The word anartha refers to unwanted things. Anarthas are vanquished when one becomes attached to the Krishna consciousness movement. So if you're plugged into something, and you know, because to be at a high standard, it's going to be hard to sometimes even like stay in the association of devotees, you know, because like your false ego may want to do what you just described, where you'll pad yourself and like find a group of devotees which will allow you to practice a lower standard and you know, do your own thing a little bit. But if you're attached to a powerful unit, it's gonna help you get through anartha nivritti a lot quicker.
Yeah, that's what we did in Scotland. We had like a crack SAS team.
Yeah.
And you just try and keep that going. And then the real challenge is, can you bring other people in so that it perpetuates, you know, not that you end up with a group and you all stay and nobody else really joins that group, and you become like almost like an elitist group, you know. And then new ones come and they think, there's no way I can come to that. There's no one in between, you see. Whereas if you've got fresh people coming all the time, when you join, you can see someone that's just a little bit ahead of you and you think, okay, I can follow him. But if someone's been doing it 10 years, 20 years, it's like such a huge leap to go from where you are. You know, you end up just staying in the garden and growing black currants, you know. So part of the dynamic is, it's like running with a baton. You need someone to pass the baton on to keep it running, you know, all the time. Otherwise you end up with just this group of really focused, powerful sanctum devotees, but nobody can go anywhere near them. They've been doing it that long and they're so expert and so focused that people can't imagine how they ever got there, you know.
Plus, I think it's also important to create a facility for those persons that they tried to run full speed. They tried to swim underwater for the whole time. They maybe couldn't come up to that standard, but there's a facility for them to support that main team where they feel like they're contributing to a high, you know. And that's, I think we're trying to do that here in Wales, at least. Is like,
if you're free from envy, then it's fine. It works fine, you know. If there's no envy involved, and it's great, because then you get the benefit of them doing it, because you're facilitating it for them, and then everyone gets nourished by the activity. It's only when the envy comes in, it all breaks down and isolates, then there's problems, you know.
How can we dissolve that envy?
By serving and by association as well, because you develop affection and respect, and these are really powerful ways to purge yourself of the envy that normally would isolate you, you know.
Yeah.
And the way envy works as well is, instead of appreciating, you think, oh, he's only doing that. He's probably having a snort of cocaine when no one's looking. You can't actually show them the proper respect they're due. That's envy distorts everything. It's such a nasty little quality.
It becomes painful to glorify someone that's worthy of glorification.
Yeah, you think, oh, he says he's a sannyasi, but he's probably looking at Mayfair books when no one's looking. You know what I mean? And because it's basically sour grapes. Because I can't do it, then yeah, and I'm as good as anybody else. So he can't really. He must be faking it because I found it impossible.
Yeah. It's so counterintuitive, but like it's there in everyone. Like,
yeah, just stick it out. Just go the full course and take whatever's coming your way as valuable lessons, and just keep your mindset on the goal. The goal is to go home and to spend an entire life committed to assisting in the spreading of Lord Chaitanya's mission. And this kind of kamikaze, all or nothing brahmachari. If you look around, the sustaining force now in ISKCON are the Indian professional congregation. They hold down the job. They follow the principles. They bring the kids up, and the kids love Krishna consciousness. They take part in kirtan and help with services. And they have their time when they do their sadhana, and they're not going to go anywhere. They're not going to run off with a brahmacharini. They're not going to start eating meat. They'll just keep going. And it may not seem very dynamic, but you come back in 20 years and these guys are all still there, They're the ones that are sustainable. With brahmacharis, you're not sure. Is he going to go bananas? Is he going to get married? What's he going to do? Is he going to keep doing the sankirtan? It's a much more volatile commodity that you're dealing with. Whereas the people who are outside, they've got their desires and they're fulfilling them, but they're gradually becoming Krishna conscious. They're in it for the long haul, so they're just kind of by small increments make their way to perfection.
So how can we? Because we come, a lot of the, I guess, Western people that come into Krishna consciousness through like a brahmachari ashram tend to come because they are like, they just can't fit into society, and like they're looking for higher ideals, but they're also like disturbed, and it seems like a lot of us are on that kind of coming from that place in one way or another.
Yeah.
Should we be trying to model ourselves on that more?
Well, we should. The ashram which is the steadiest is the Grihastha ashram, and the Sankirtan brahmachari devotee, how he's going to navigate himself through from one ashram to the other. His best bet is to continue on with his Sankirtan, keep doing that as his main kind of stability, and then introduce these other things. But if you change too many things in one go, you change your service, you change your ashram, you change your location, it's just too disorientating. They just lose their footing in everything that's going on, So the main thing is keep doing the service, keep doing that. You know how to do it. You can do it okay, and then introduce these other things in, but not at the cost of the things that you're already doing. They're keeping you steady and stable.
Interesting. I don't know what this podcast, what this podcast became about. It's not really detachment anymore, is it?
It's just about life, innit?
Life. Just call it life.
A life on the ocean wave.
A life on the ocean wave.
I'm gonna have to shoot off. I've got paperwork to do. Bhakta-rupa.
Okay, thanks for your time.
Yeah, nice to talk with you. Keep well.
Okay. Floating on the ocean in a boat, and the motion of the waves creates emotions, and I behave like the boat's the damn problem. Horizon's foggy and I feel groggy, my mind has robbed me of my laser-pointed vision. Layers of gunk upon this window pane have risen. These layers cause amazing pain, the layers can be washed by rain. If only I can chant and I can be sincere, then surely clouds would part and sunlight would appear. Or so I hear, and so I chant, although my mind tells me I can't. I've been convinced that my mind will grant me freedom from this feeling of depression. But factually this mind is feeling the oppression. My obsession with forget and my possession of a special connection with the source of all truth and the cause of my nescience. This cause of all causes has afforded a sword to those souls who are absorbed in hearing chanting the glories of the Lord. And those glories of the Lord are presumably consumable to those who have chosen to turn from darkness to the light and put up a fight against the grime in their mind. They're defensive against offensive behavior that puts them in the shade of the grey sky. And I pray I can stay and fight and turn from darkness to the sunshine so bright. Give me strength and feed my desire to leave this ocean of Maya behind. Splish, splash, splash.